All right, we're live. Hi, welcome back,
Hi.
everybody, back to Unconventional Asians. Every Friday, we interview an unconventional Asian to tell their story on how they forged their own path. So today we have Karen Lai with us. Welcome to our show.
Hi.
And
I should
she,
say good
hi,
morning,
and
right?
she, good morning. Yeah. And she is the founder and program director at Mentorhood Mathematics, a math program for children. And she has a master's degree in actuarial science and honor Bachelor of Science in pure math and music from the University of Toronto. So she is all about math. Now we're going to talk about how we use math to gain clarity in our life, because there are so many crossroads that can lead us to many paths, but sometimes that can get really confusing and we're just using logic and feelings and we don't know where to go. And math is like honestly the most logical way to go about it. And so we're going to talk about that today. But first off, I'm curious, why did you choose math in the first place? Because I would never do it because it's just like too boring for me. So I'm just curious how you got onto that path.
Actually, I didn't choose math at the first place.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was young, I was really bad at math. I failed the
Mm,
whole entire year in mathematics when I was in grade 5 in Hong Kong. And remember
wow.
how we met in high school, right, Clover? We
Yeah,
met
yeah,
in
I still do.
music class. So that
Yeah,
was, yeah. Yeah, so I
right.
thought I would pursue my career or, anything in the future with music back then,
Mhm,
to be honest.
mhm,
But then
mm,
how can we become math? I don't know. I just find it easy, maybe somehow. Like when I was in high school, I had
mhm,
really good teachers, I think. Yeah, so I actually
mm,
understand the calculus, the algebra, the statistics. I don't know why and I don't know
mhm,
how, but it just happened. So I ended up
mm.
being in University of Toronto. I did not apply for math actually. I applied for life science and music.
Okay.
So I almost got
Uh,
into the music education side in York, but I got a scholarship as well. But then because of we're Asians,
mm,
right? Expectation from our parents. So
yeah.
expectation from my dad, his dream is to get me into U of T. So I ended up
Um,
choosing U of T, going into life science instead of doing
okay,
music. Yeah.
okay.
So what did
And
you
then
do?
how do you
And
transition into, uh,
yeah, what did you do in
oh, I
university?
think we're
I
stuck a
forgot.
little bit.
Hello?
I did kinesiology,
Right.
which is exercise science at York, which is very typical my style. But my parents are interesting. They did not force me to do anything. In fact, I went into becoming a flight attendant, and my dad told me not to finish school. And I was the one who insisted on finishing. So I think my path is a little unconventional.
Because your dad is already unconventional.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, interesting. Okay, but then how do you wrap your head around failing grade 5 math and then forcing yourself to do math in university? Because now you have to do it all the time.
Yeah, remember the first year is actually like life science, right? And then I
True.
found out that throughout all those experiences, you listen too much about what your parents is telling you what to do and do,
Mhm.
in our culture, right? So they would tell you, oh, get into this profession because you're gonna earn a lot of money, like
Yep.
maybe being a doctor, accountant, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's
Engineer.
how we yeah, exactly. So that's how we were raised, isn't it? So
Mhm.
that's why I chose my major and staying according to their will more. So I had this life science. Well, yes, I survived from the biology, chemistry, physics, but wasn't too well. But then my calculus, because we still have to do math in science, right? There are a lot of math
Yes.
actually. I
Mhm.
I think you too, right? In your
Mhm.
science degree,
Well,
you must at
I
least
I
do a lot of
I
math.
chose the art science just so that I can avoid math,
Oh my!
actually. I
But
was like,
it's
what
like
degree
science,
do I have to do that science without math? Kinesiology.
really?
Well,
Oh, I
if I pick the art stream, and that's exactly what I did.
oh, so there is like a science stream and the art stream? I
Yeah,
didn't know.
there's a science stream and an art stream. Yeah, so I chose the art stream so I can do philosophy and stuff like that, which is psychology, which is what I'm more interested in.
Oh, I
Yeah. Yeah.
I see. I got you.
I still have to do chemistry though, which is like,
Still slightly above math, for chemistry. Yeah, just
yeah.
slightly above. You have to balancing the equation anyway. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I ended up feeling effortless doing the calculus. Maybe I had a very good strong foundation in high school, right?
Mm. That
So
makes all the difference. It's the
yeah,
teachers, right?
exactly. So I had very good foundation in high school for math. So I did pretty well in calculus in year one. I
Mm.
feel like, oh, I don't want to be in the lab. I don't want to be in the lab like dissecting mouse or
Oh,
rocks.
that's my favorite part.
So it's totally different. Then so second year I decided to not doing any more science because I'm lazy. So then I took
Mm.
everything math and I look into okay, what am I actually good at? Okay. So I actually
Mm.
enjoy doing the math and feeling like surrounding all those guys, but they don't understand, but I do. When you get into
Nice.
math, basically 90% are boys.
True. That's the
When
thing.
I think about when I was in university, I think I didn't met any girlfriends. All my girlfriends in university
Mm.
were from the science part, like
Right.
biology, biochem, mostly biochem, because
Yeah.
science, math,
Yeah.
they're very
See, that's the
different.
thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's a rare thing to choose. Now, so since you've done so much math in your life, you even created a program, a company around it. And so, what is it about math that you think is so important for people to learn, for children and adults
Well,
in life right
why
now?
is it so
Why
important?
is
That's
it so important that we use math?
super important.
Yeah.
Super important. As soon as I know everything is about math, like your report card, even your when you go body check, right?
Mhm,
All of
mhm.
the numbers are showing how well your body is doing, right? Stock
True.
market, right? If you go to the supermarket, how about the discount? Like what kind of decision are you going to
Mm,
make, right? Every step, every single little step in your life, what decision are you going to make? So math is
mhm,
so important.
mhm,
Okay, so I don't know. Like to me, if I look at the subject itself, mathematics, what's
mhm,
important is the habits of problem solving.
mm.
Like you can't deny every day when you wake up, there are problems. Well, to me, there are problems, right? Because life is just a lot of uncertainties, right?
Yes.
Although even you plan for it, it will have a higher probability, lower risk to happen of what you want it to happen, how it
Mhm,
happens. But
mhm.
you still have that uncertainty because you're not alone in this world. There's so
Right.
many things that you're depending on other people. Especially, I have two kids right now.
Mhm, mhm.
Every day is an uncertainty. Okay. Yep. So by saying about uncertainty, probability, risk, they are all math.
Mm,
Right? So
right.
um, and also the ability, as I said, the ability of solving problem is actually a habit. That's why,
Mm,
not only for us, but
mhm,
also if they can start young for the kids to have this habit of sit down, calm down, look at what the problem is, identify it,
mm.
organize your information. If you don't understand, go search for it, learn. All right, analyze the problem, find a solution. Okay.
Right.
Don't be stuck right there and sit down and say, I don't know.
Mm.
I think
That's so true.
the attitude and the habits are the most important thing.
I love that. And so, what do you think? Um, like, how can math? I guess it allow us more clarity because you know how to calculate the risk in life and how to go for a discount, how to buy in the stock market, all of those things. So, what do you think is actually important in life? Like, what are the two things that are important in life for you that has to do with math?
Has to do with that. Well, first I want to say it's directly related to math first.
Hmm.
Okay. because
Mhm.
for me, I feel like I need achievement and I have to go
Mm.
with my passion. It's so not unmathy, right?
Right.
But you
Right, that's the thing, yeah.
how about
So
you?
how do you do that?
How about you?
Um, well, for me, I think the most important for me is growth in life and fulfillment. So if I'm always learning and growing every day, and if I feel fulfilled by experimenting with different things and being able to contribute back to the world, that to me
Mm,
is fulfillment. So those are the two important things in life for me. But it seems like all these things that we want requires time and money.
exactly. So I should say, making the contribution in the life, right? Me too, actually. I don't want to waste my life. Everybody has only one life. You just want to make it more meaningful, right?
Mhm.
So, well, that's just me. There are a lot of people out there maybe just enjoying in their bubble. That's totally fine because that's your life. But for
Yeah,
me,
exactly, for
it's,
sure.
yeah, I guess for us, we want to do something that make a positive impact, right?
Mhm.
So that's how I put everything together. If you think about the Venn diagram, putting everything together with the intersection. So that I decided to, just open my learning center, start my business. And, throughout all this year, I've been doing this for 15 years. There are children who grown up, graduated being a teacher, being a doctor. Well, although I can't be a doctor, but they can, which is very rewarding. So I guess I'm doing what I like to do, and
Mm,
that's my dream since young.
mhm,
So yeah, uh, passion, achievement, as you said, everything is about time and money. You're right. That's the two main factors that I really think that can solve most of the problem.
mhm,
Not all.
mhm,
As I said, there's uncertainties, right? Risk, right? So, but most, okay, I can't deny that. So some people may say, oh, money is evil. Like, I
mm,
don't think it's important at all. Happiness is more important. But I
mhm,
would really question what gives you the happiness, right? It's really
mm,
about the mindset. If you think about money as in something evil, then is that because why don't you, I mean, like, why don't you think about money as a tool?
mhm, mhm. I was gonna say that, yeah.
Right? It cannot buy happiness, but you can use it
Mhm,
to make yourself happy and and your family and your loved ones happy, right? It's
mhm,
just a
mhm,
tool for you to show your way, uh, you know, your love. Is like some people may say, "Oh, I want to prepare this cake for my loved ones on their birthday," for example. Okay,
mhm.
I can make it myself. Okay, I can make it myself and it doesn't cost much. I would say,
Right.
yeah, but if you go to the grocery shop or you go to supermarket, buy your ingredients at your time,
Mhm,
you bake the cake and find out how this cake is being baked is your time,
mhm,
right? So to me, I feels like if you're not, if it's not about money, it's gonna be about time. If it's not about time,
mm.
it's gonna be about money. So how are they related to math? It's
Yeah.
100% math.
Yeah, this is
Right?
very interesting because this ties into the community that I'm very interested in or that I'm kind of involved in called FIRE, Financially Independent Retire Early. So it is exactly that principle of basically earning money, getting to a retirement number,
Hmm.
and then so then you have financial freedom, and then you can buy your time back. And then you're
Exactly.
not stuck in the job that you hate or dislike, and then you can truly pursue your passion because let's be real, not all passion makes money.
Mhm.
What they say, like the starving artist, right? It requires a lot of skill sets because there's so many people trying to do it. But how can we combine both? It's the realistic survival of putting food on the table versus us wanting more fulfillment and fun with our passion. It's like marrying the two together, I think is
Mm.
very important. So I think both of us are right now in that accumulation phase where we want to get to financial independence. And a lot of people are doing that as well. And so I will link like some resources below as well if anybody's interested, because that whole space talks about how to handle your personal finance so that you can get to retirement as soon as you can, and then you can truly do what you love. And there's a whole formulation in how you calculate your retirement number, and that you need to know how much money, annual expenses that you need, stuff like that. So, and that is all math, right?
Exactly. It's very
Yeah.
realistic. But of course, that also come to something about like how well do you know about yourself, right? Like what kind of life
Yes.
do you want? Right?
Yes.
What kind of lifestyle do you want? Well, some people enjoy working
Yeah.
until the end of the day,
Right.
right?
Nothing
It's
wrong with
totally
that.
fine, right? No, nothing wrong. But me, I'm quite lazy actually. Although I'm already doing what my passion is in, but my end goal is still sleep more, play more music.
Yeah.
But
No, for
playing music
sure. Of
is
course.
very expensive, I can say.
With the instruments and the equipment.
Yeah, and it's extremely hard to get in, make profit. I think the only
Right.
way that I'm making money out of music is really from teaching, and that is very
Right.
personal.
Mm.
Yeah,
I love
because
that.
yeah, but
That's
I
true.
enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Yeah.
it. I don't look at it as in like a tool to make money, but I
Right.
look at it as a contribution, like in life, right?
And so that's where you get your fulfillment.
Ex- Yeah.
And so my question is, you were asking me what kind of lifestyle. So would you just want to stay in one place in one country and then kind of play music? That's kind of what you were looking for after financial independence?
Well, I have a very clear picture actually. After my
Okay.
financial independence, right? I must have a grand piano. That's my dream.
Okay.
So in order to have a grand piano, that means I need a bigger house.
Mm,
Right? So that's how I think. Like you have a very precise angle. Then you think
got
about,
it.
okay, if I have to achieve that angle, then
Mhm.
what are the pieces in between, right?
Mm. So you
Yeah,
reverse engineer it. So you have the end goal in mind, and then you reverse engineer and see, oh, what are the steps that I need to do today to get there? So
exactly.
that's
And then
also math.
that's also math. But then you have that point where you really want first. You have to know exactly what you really want first,
Mhm.
right? So that
Right.
all comes to yourself. Like, what is your dream back then? There are
Right.
too many opinions, too many sayings from other people, culture, whatever, that might lead you to at some point right here in your life right now. But then, if you think about when you're a kid, like what do you truly want? I think that's the key.
Mm. And what did you truly want to do as a kid? Just play music?
Oh, also when you say yes, I only have two things that I want to do. Okay, it's music
Okay.
and having my own learning center.
And you're pretty much doing both now.
Yes,
That's
pretty much,
amazing.
pretty much.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's a really interesting point to go back to childhood and look at what light our hearts on fire. I think that it's something that it's a good question to ask ourselves, because as adults we lost track of that because we have to put food on the table, so we just hustle and grind and forget what actually makes us joyful. And a lot of the times that clue comes from childhood. And so I think that's a good question for the audience to ask themselves. And now it's kind of like reminding me what I truly love to do. I love to try things and being athletic and being outdoors, and I love to sing. And this is how we met,
Exactly.
actually.
Yeah, I always thought I'm gonna be a singer. When I was 3 years old. Well, it
Oh,
didn't happen.
yeah, yeah.
But now with all this technology and things like YouTube, and
Hmm.
I can still record myself singing and feeling very very good about
Right.
myself, like self
Yeah.
entertaining. I don't know how many friends or people would like to listen, but I still like to sing.
That's amazing. We should do a duet sometimes. We do a
Yeah.
math duet. How to do it? 1 plus 1 equals 2.
I actually did that with the kids. Like
You
we
did?
call it
See?
multiplication rap.
Oh, that's cute. See, you can make math fun, right? So how do you make math fun actually for children?
For children, well,
Yeah.
in my program, we have two focus, right? As I said, problem solving is a very important
Mhm.
focus. So that's
Mhm.
one of my program's focus. We really focus on work problems. Another focus is really having math being fun. So we created a lot of games. It's me and my partner Gigi. So
Mhm.
throughout this 11 years, 12 years, we actually came up with over, I guess, 200 math games
Wow.
to just teach kids all sort of different skills.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
So sometimes it's not only the math skills, but
Right.
also the confidence and how they face the lose and win.
Mm.
Because when we have interactive games, right, we can have a small group, 3 or 4 kids in
Mhm.
class. Well, there
Mhm.
must be some people who win this time and lose the next time.
Right.
Some kids would cry or they have all kinds of attitudes.
Right, huh? How do you navigate that?
Exactly. So that's part of the learning process.
That's why it's important to start young and to like when a problem comes, it's like, okay, you have the tools to fix this or to solve this instead of thinking just throwing your hands up in the air like I don't know and then get frustrated, which translates to adulthood, and that doesn't help if you don't have the good foundation. So I can see how important that is.
Right. So and also kids, right? They think it's just a game, but then they actually did a lot of math already. So there are
Mm,
programs out there having kids just do all this math practices, drilling in a very boring way on paper or computer.
right.
But
And
for
that's
us, we put it into maybe a board game, okay,
uh
or maybe like a hide and seek game or something.
yeah.
So they feels like, okay, I'm doing this math. I'm going to walk,
Mhm,
for 3 steps, 4 steps.
mhm.
They actually did. They would actually do the same amount of work, but they are having fun.
Yeah, that makes it so much easier. And
Yeah,
they learn faster that way too when you're having fun.
and also it's really funny in our game. There are a lot of randomized numbers, right? For example, we roll a dice, or we just take a card from a deck. You don't know which number you're gonna take, right? So every step that you're going to take, there is uncertainty, and that's how life
Mm,
is. Sometimes you did your math really nicely, like you can do your calculation quickly, you did everything right, but you lose the game. Why? Luck. You got to learn that, right?
mm.
How are you going to cope
I
with that
love that.
emotion? Yeah,
Wow. That's interesting. This is really comprehensive. To a way, it reflects life. I didn't even realize. Like you can, first of all, engineer it in a way to learn math to in a fun way, which teaches you how to live life in a way. Like when you're aligned and happy, you just, you can learn things quicker, everything is just better. But also, how do you cope when you lose? That's such an important skill to
exactly.
learn.
Some kids win
Mm,
the game, they don't necessarily have better skills in math. It's just pure luck
right.
because they
Yeah,
rolled the dice 3 times and they got maybe six in a row.
that's true. And that's life too. A lot of people get lucky. It doesn't mean that they are,
No, then the
sometimes
other smart
competent.
kid, then the other smart kid will be like, oh, being frustrated and say, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to get involved. Like, how are you going
Mm.
to cope with that emotion?
Wow, that's fascinating. Interesting. So, since math is such a big part of your life, how has it really changed you?
Well, because I would say having doing so much math for so many years in high school, university,
Yeah.
master degrees, right? I have already built up this habit of solving problems.
Mm,
So whenever I see things, I see it as, I have to map out the problem. I have to
mm,
organize it, put it in on the spreadsheets, and
right.
look at the numbers. So basically, I can look at my spreadsheets as frequent as every day
Wow.
or few times a day, but it depends on my needs. Okay,
Mm,
and also map out everything like for my company, for myself, how are they going to be related? My
mm,
goal for the next month, or my goal for 6 months, or my end goal, right? Because you have to constantly review I have to constantly review my goals
Mhm,
because just like now, COVID-19, although it's gonna be, you didn't think about this thing would happen, right?
mhm, mhm.
The risk is really low back then. The probability is
Right.
really low. But then it happened,
Mhm,
right? And
mhm,
I have to review myself. Okay, so what strategy we have to change? And then after
mhm.
maybe a month or two, does the strategy work? Right?
Right.
Are you still on your path of achieving what you want later on? So I
Mhm.
always reflect myself. And how do I know and evaluate? They are the numbers on my spreadsheets.
Right. Interesting.
Okay.
So you just do like Excel spreadsheet
Yeah.
usually? Mm.
Yeah.
Now I really wanna like, is there an adult version of your learning center? So because I feel like, because I avoided math for so long in a way, I of course knows the basics and the foundations, and I guess like being educated in Hong Kong, there's still a certain standard there. um,
Right.
but then still, like I wish I embraced it a little more and use it more to my advantage. I mean, I still did. Actually, I'm going to tell a little bit of my story and how math changed me. So I got divorced a few years ago, and that actually really scared me in terms of what my future is going to look like financially. Uh, because it's like, okay, so, like, divorced woman in my 30s, what do I do with myself? Like, I was super scared. I didn't learn really anything regarding personal finance or investments prior to that. And so that motivated me to really like go hard and learn it, right? And so what I did was oh, are you frozen or just like okay, no,
No, no,
you're
I'm
good.
here.
What I did was I tap into the fire. Okay, great. I tapped into the FIRE community, the financially independent retire early, and I looked into the blog posts and learned how to invest. And I decided to sell my condo to rent a room instead, which is very atypical and unconventional for Asian people because they think real estate is the most important investment and renting is throwing money away. Now, it seems like the most ridiculous decision, but I actually did a lot of math.
Mm,
And so I had spreadsheets of like two comparisons of all possible scenarios.
mm,
If the real estate goes up a certain percentage in all, like there's five different scenarios. For example, if it goes up 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, 25, whatever, what would that math look like? And
mm.
if I'm renting a certain amount right now, what would that math looks like? And then they actually ended up almost the same in
Mm.
terms of like the math. But then again, that's only speculation because you don't know how real estate will appreciate, right? So you can only guess. Now, but then at the end of the day, the money, it's not too different. But then the rental part, it gives me so much more flexibility and
Mm.
freedom to travel. And that is my value. It might not
Exactly.
be as secure, but again, like you said, life is uncertain. Even if you own a house, it doesn't mean that you're safer. It
Mm.
seems like you're safer, but you might not be because it can like anything can happen. Like with 2020, so you don't know what the housing market is going to do, right? Like it looks great now, but in the Canadian market, it went up for 20 years in a row, and usually is always a cycle. You don't know that, and so for me, it's like that's actually gambling, and so I rather put my money into index funds, which is more diversified,
That
and
is interesting. A lot of people think that if you put your money in the stock market,
and
like
it's gambling, but it
it's
depends on
gambling.
how you
Like,
do it.
not the
See,
house, but not the
right,
house. That's
but
what
not
they
the
think.
house, right? But the thing is, if you think about it, a house is gambling because you're just putting all your money in one basket. And the thing is, you better pick the right house, the right location, and you're now completely dependent on the government for raising the property taxes, and then you have to fix everything in a house when there's any damages. That's all
Mm,
math as well. And when you buy a
exactly.
house and sell a house, all the realtor's fees, right, the lawyer's fees, I did all that math, and it's called the hidden cost of housing that people
Mm,
never think about. And I think the biggest realization for me was when I actually looked at my dad's house. He bought it at like $270,000 back in the day in Unionville, and he
Mm.
sold it for like 1.6 something million. So it's a huge difference, right? But then if you actually do the math, I saw that if you put that same amount of money in the stock market for the past 20 years, you would come out the same. Then
Mm.
you would have already all that freedom to be anywhere in the world. Because when you're renting, you can actually go anywhere,
And the
right?
cash flow as well, right? I always look at the cash flow as well, like because you
Right.
can have that cash flow doing a lot of different things instead of just
Right. Have all the money stuck in one investment. Exactly. So there is so many factors to consider, like an opportunity cost that you have lost if you
Mhm.
were to have that cash flow and it
Exactly.
being liquid. Exactly. So I think most people just look at, like, especially the Asian community, from what we've been taught, real estate is safe investment or stock market is dangerous. Not necessarily. Only if you buy individual stocks, that's a bit different. So it's important to really look at the math behind everything,
Right.
to break it all down in order to make a decision that is in alignment for you, not for other people.
Exactly. And I think how you look at things is also really depends on yourself, right? So the
Mhm.
math is there. That's why percentages are so important. Okay. So we learned it in
Mm.
grade 5 and 6. I always talk about that to the kids. Yes. They actually got very excited nowadays. Kids, they love looking at finance stuff. They told me about, okay, can
Wow.
I take a look at the Coca-Cola stock? What's the
Really?
trend? Like when we talk about, yeah,
That's
when we talk
amazing.
about percentages, like what's the percentage increase? What's the percentage decrease? Like what is the trend? Is it
Mm.
positive or negative?
Wow.
How does that
Wow.
mean to you? And what does that how are you going to interpret it? And what
Yeah,
action are you going to take? You know?
for sure, for sure.
Yeah, so it's very if you ask me why is math so important, you can tell every single thing that in your life, even you avoid looking at them, the math is really important because
Yeah.
it's either you calculate it, make your own decision, or someone else is going to calculate it and make the decision for you. Like, what do you
Mm,
want?
right. The control that you can do it
Exactly.
yourself and know what's happening. That's right.
Exactly. So I really think like, yeah, there are so many tools. I'm still learning right now as well. I'm still
Mm,
learning because I spent my whole entire decade in the business.
right.
Okay. So I learned a lot of different types of business instead, like
Mm,
maybe
mhm.
leadership, because as my company is growing, I have to hire more people.
Yes,
Like, I'm going to keep them. I spend a lot of time in
right.
networking, learning how to manage a business.
Yeah.
How is different business like? Okay, so that's
Mhm.
um now I just started looking at stocks. Okay,
Mm,
do some
yeah.
investment in the stock market,
Mhm.
and I feel like it's a lot easier for me, because I already understand the graph. I just need to know the technical stuff.
Right, exactly. What to buy, right? I have one resource. I always refer to them, the Millennial Revolution. It's a great resource for learning about the FIRE
Mhm.
community. And then they have an investment workshop that actually tells you step by step on how to open an account and what to do. For Canadian and the US market. And then there is also the Canadian Couch Potato, which is another website that tells you all the different stocks that you can purchase, and they're the safe
Oh.
ones. So I think those are the ones that would be really good to start off with
Mhm.
in the index fund world, where it's completely
Mm.
diversified and it's a lot safer,
Yeah.
especially with no previous knowledge of the stock market. And that's where I started.
Yeah, I was also looking at the index funds as well after talking to you last time.
Okay, amazing. That's great. Yeah.
Right. There are so many different strategies out
Yeah.
there too. Like I've been looking, but math are math, math is math. Like those graph, there are a particular way that those graph is. I mean, they have particular meanings for each of the graphs, right? So
Mhm,
as
mhm.
long as we study, we understand. what they mean, then you can just make a decision for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that
100%.
is total control.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. I mean, I know we're coming up to our time here, and I honestly would love to learn more math from you and see how important this is. And so, where can the audience find you?
From my children math program site, mentorhoodmath.com. Okay, or you can find us in Facebook. Just search Mentorhood Mathematics, or IG, Instagram, also Mentorhood Mathematics. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And are there any like Instagram posts about how to do math? Because I would like to like learn.
How to do math.
Or
For
like, you know,
K-pop
little
or
tips and I guess, I don't know. I feel like my foundation can be better.
no, you're
But
already very good. You
well,
know,
consider doing a adult program.
you're already doing all those spreadsheets and looking at stocks. You're advanced.
I don't know. Anyways, thank you so much for everybody for watching and Karen for being on the show and just showing us how important math is really to our life and the relevance of it. Because sometimes like people will look at math and be like, oh my God, this is boring, this is intimidating, who cares? It's not important, right? Just a math subject that I did in school. But if you put it all together on how we use it every single day to problem solve, this is why we should really focus on it.
And also, as I said, from my experience, it really depends on the teacher or the
Yeah,
tutor that you have.
right.
You know,
To dictate
my
the
kids,
experience.
especially my high school students, they would talk to me about, okay, what should I choose for my major in university? Then I would ask them one question: do you like money? You really got to think about what's your passion versus the balance with money. Okay.
It's
And then
true. It's
you
true.
can make a decision. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching. Until next time, we'll see you back next Friday. And thank you, Karen, for being here. And we'll
Pleasure.
see you later.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, one more
Bye-bye.
thing. Happy
Oh,
Chinese New Year.
oh, it is right. You're right. Sorry, everybody. Oh, somebody have a question. Jay, we can do a quick one if you have a question.
Oh, wait, do you see the question? I don't see it.
If you go on the top in the comment section, you will be able to see that.
Oh.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you have a question, Jay, for us before we wrap up? I don't see him. But I guess we have another Jay. The distance formula.
Uh-huh.
What about the distance formula? Well, while he types, I'm gonna just kind of say out the previous comment here. Jay, I totally agree that growth and fulfillment are very important to me too. For me, I strive for my best to live a life that is to bless people such as my family, friends, girlfriend, etc., with such joy and positivity too. In what I say or do. Every day we have 24 hours, so achieving goals and chasing dreams and making a difference in people's lives are just small samples of what I do. Looking forward to chatting with you, whatever. So, okay. So what about the distance formula, Jay? And it's funny because it's two different J by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the first one is Jay, and the second is just the letter J.
Yeah.
And he's from YouTube.
Square root a squared plus b squared.
Yeah, what about that distance formula? What do you use it for, actually?
What do we use it for?
Calculating distance?
Of 2 points.
Okay.
Yeah, so usually we use it and we learned it in high school when we talk about the coordinate planes. You know, the XY, if you have 2 points. Now I start to be like a parent.
Right. See, I do not remember that at all.
But then you link that line and you can form.
Yeah.
And then you can form a right angle triangle. And there we have a theorem called Pythagoras theorem. Right?
Right.
So use Pythagoras theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared to find out the length of the 2 points.
Okay, now he's saying y is always what is it?
X2 minus
X2
X1.
X2 minus X1. If you square it, the result is the same, but every time the second point coordinate is the
No, you
first.
don't have to. You can do the first point minus second point as long as you don't mix it up. So if your X coordinate is X2 minus X1, then your Y coordinate has to be Y2 minus Y1. You can swap them.
Yeah, and then he says, or Y2 minus Y1.
Yeah, you can do X1 minus X2, but then your Y has to be Y1 minus Y2.
Oh, I see. As long as they coordinate together.
Yeah, so as long as if you choose to use the first point minus the second point, then you always have to use the first point minus the second point.
Well, and he's like, I don't know why the second one is always first in the formula. Ah, so why is it, X2 minus
it's
X1 or Y2
just a label. You have to understand. That's just a label of the points. It's the order that really matters.
Okay. So that's why they say, oh, I see. Because so X2, it's like, because they want to specify which order.
They want to, they just
want the second point to go first.
Point is called X1, but you can also call it X2. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can call it point A, but you can also call it point B. It doesn't matter.
But as long as that same point.
Exactly.
Right. So
it really doesn't matter. It really depends on the order. So let's say you want point A minus point B for your X coordinate, then your Y coordinate is always point A minus point B.
Right. As long as they, match. Yeah. Amazing. Great. I think he got it. Awesome. Thank you for asking, Jay. Great. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Well, we're going to wrap up now. Thank you for the question. I love that. We need more interaction here on this channel. Okay. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.
All
Bye
right.
now.
Bye.